Welcome to Talking Federal Business. I'm Nick Vlahovic, consultant to industry. Congratulations, you've finally been awarded your GSA contract. Now it's time to maximize those government sales in year one. I'm going to help you do that with my 10 proven selling strategies. Before I get into them, if you could click like, I'd really appreciate it. And I'd appreciate it even more if you'd subscribe to my channel by scrolling down into the notes section and clicking the subscribe button. This is part one of a two-part series. I'm going to cover the first 5 strategies in this video and the second 5 of the strategies in part 2. The first strategy is called cast your net. That means make sure you're aware of and are registered on all of the government points of entry, GPEs, that the government uses to advertise its goods and services that it wants. For example, by now, if you have a GSA schedule, you're aware of the eBuy portal. Register on it and be vigilant on it. Anytime a federal agency wants something and they want to buy off the GSA contract or schedule program, they're going to use that. Did you know, though, that federal agencies will sometimes want to purchase on the open market and won't want to use the GSA schedule program? That will happen. So you're still going to want to be vigilant, if you're not already, on sam.gov, www.sam.gov. There are other points of entry as well. For example, the Army has one for purchases of goods and services that are below $250,000. Fort Drum out of New York State handles all of that. And the Unison Marketplace handles that as a subcontractor for them. I'm going to have in the notes below this video all of the links to all of the GPEs that I'm aware of, so you can get registered on them and be vigilant for them. The next strategy that you want to employ, I call market intelligence. Everything from aircraft carriers to xylophones, federal agencies have to document when they buy. There are mainframe computers out in Maryland or Virginia somewhere, and every time a contracting officer makes a buy, an action report, that's what it's called, ends up in one of those things. A consulting company, anyone, even mine, can help you identify those reports and compile the information so that you can use the information strategically and not waste a lot of time. For example, you can get a good understanding of the scale of the market in your NAICS codes. You can identify which agencies are doing the buying. You can identify which of your competitors are doing the selling to those agencies. So you'll have a breadcrumb trail directly to the front door of those agencies. Imagine that. No other market sector in all of business provides that kind of information so that you can put together a great plan that's efficient so you could start getting things done efficiently right away. I highly recommend you make use of market intelligence. The third strategy you want to employ is you want to understand for every one of your target agencies how they buy. I got snookered big time once, thinking that my agencies I was working with, that they bought only through the eBuy portal and they went to RFQ, and that was it. I eventually found out they bought the majority of their furniture products through general contractors whenever they were buying a building. Boy, was I ever embarrassed. Government agencies have many, many, many different options in how they go about buying the products and services they want. And let me tell you, they use them. They have government purchase cards, some of which have limits up into the hundreds of thousands of dollars. They can use the mandatory sources as purchasing channels. They can use all kinds of different third-party sources to go through. So what you want to do is sit down and talk to your target agency clients to get a good understanding of what their preferences are for their acquisition strategies and what different types of portals and tools they like to use in order to make their buys. And then you want to configure yourself in a way to match up to those in order to make sure that you maximize out your own sales, and also you're providing great services to your target agencies so they know how to get to you when they need your product or service. The fourth strategy you want to employ is you want to understand how your target agencies develop their requirements. The first step in any RFP that ultimately ends up on your desk that you're going to respond to, the first step is the client has to understand their needs. And somebody has to put all of that information together. That's called requirements development. They have to understand how many of the items need to be purchased. What are the dimensions of them? What are the key features? They have to develop what's called an initial government estimate, IGE. All that information has to be compiled, and many of the points that they compile ultimately end up in the statement of work that's in the RFP or RFQ that ends up on your desk. If you just ask of your client the simple question, who is developing the requirements for this buy? Getting the answer to that question will ultimately lead you on a breadcrumb trail to getting that question answered and lead you to providing real value in education to that person that they're not going to get anywhere else. And you'll be differentiating yourself from 99% of your competition. The fifth strategy that you want to employ is develop all necessary tools that are needed in order to effectively go after the market. By tools, I mean whatever is needed by all the different people who ultimately touch the client or touch any deliverable to the client that is needed in order to effectively create a great engagement. Selling tools, specifier tools, tools that consultants use in order to make recommendations to the client, tools that are used to ultimately help develop the statements of work that ends up in the RFPs. Federal government needs are always slightly different than those needs in the private sector, as we all know. So it'll be important for you to talk to those people who use those tools in order to understand exactly what their federal government type needs are in the development of those tools. If you need help on what those tools are and even how they need to work, any consulting company, including this one, can help you do that. So that's the first 5 strategies. If this has been helpful and you've liked it, I'd appreciate it if you would like this video by clicking like. I'd like it even more if you'd subscribe to my channel by clicking subscribe, by scrolling down below and clicking the subscribe button. We will see you on part 2 of my 10 strategies to help you maximize out your GSA Schedule award. I'm Nick Vlahovic, consultant to industry. We'll see you on the next one.